I think that we've also shown that same consistent growth when you look at internationals, when you look at Bangkok and then Toronto. I'd like to think that the same will be true for Paris, that will show that we've consistently grown in terms of our ability to perform in high stakes games against teams we haven't played against before.
Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering VCT Americas Stage 2 for the regular season in Week 5. My guest at this time is Kaplan of Sentinels, the head coach of said team, coming off of their match against 2Game, in which they came out victorious 2-1 to thus finish off the regular season with a perfect record. And so, Kaplan, job well done on this regular season, finishing perfect. First of all, how are you feeling after finishing this part of the season, this part of the stage as well?
Proud and antsy, just eager to play some more opponents to see if we get tested to hopefully keep up the clean wins. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, with first seed already secured for this group the prior week, obviously there's kind of like the question about like how you guys were going to approach this matchup and against a team like 2G, in which on the other hand they already had their fate secured with the relegation and also finishing EG's matchup earlier today. And so was it very serious for you guys just to close it out on the high, or was there anything different from that?
Yeah, it was. I've been in spots before where there's a question of how do we want to approach this. This game is very low or no stakes, and in my experience, you end up wanting to win, and you end up not liking when you do lose. So yeah, we wanted to keep up the momentum. We wanted a clean 5-0. Wanted to have a good game with 2G, and don't want to lose that momentum. You get a lot of momentum from continuous wins, and you learn a lot from matches. And if we were to treat this game differently, I think we could have learned less or lost momentum. And wasn't interested in doing that. So wanted to make sure we grab the win and approach it like any other game, and that's what we did.
Even so, like 2Game made it very interesting in the sense that they won Sunset, and so that brought out the possibility of them winning 2-0. But then you guys came back to win it in 3 on Haven in a much more dominant fashion at the very end of the series there. And another interesting point that you brought up was during the post-match interview in the broadcast about how you've been kind of scrim partners with them, 2G. So two-part question: how did you view their performance today, and also like were they like the main scrim partners for you guys, or were there other teams that you're kind of like looking at or more so using to practice your form and the like?
Yeah, I mean, there's so first of all, for the scrim partner answer, we play Qbert a lot. We're really lucky to have a org who is interested in investing in the tier 2 scene for so many reasons, and one reason is that it does benefit us, and it gives us a really great practice partner. And I would say we definitely played 2G more than any other team except Qbert by a long shot. I actually looked on my phone after the game. We scrimmed them 39 times since they've been in LA. That is a lot of times. And they were always great practice. They take their practice seriously. They're working on stuff. We're working on stuff. It was really productive. We had a really good relationship with them. And sure, there's other teams we like scrimming, but it was something, I would say, other than Qbert, it was definitely something special with 2G. And in terms of their performance today, I think it's a hard spot for them to be in, right? They had to deal with the news of their situation, their fate, basically as they're walking out to play us, right? Because the moment EG beat Furia, they knew their situation. And I thought they played with a lot of heart, regardless of that. And they're an incredible Sunset team. And I think I'm really impressed with their Sunset, and it was sweet that they got to kind of show their best there.
Closing the regular season on a relative high, and then hopefully they can bounce back and find their ways back to VCT Americas, whether it's as a unit or as individuals. We'll see later on down the line. But going back onto your team and just sort of the performance in stage 2, I mean, it's fair to say that you couldn't do anything much better than going 5-0, and this is the kind of standard that you want to see, and we have been seeing out of the Sentinels team. And so for yourself, Kaplan, as we now begin to close the book onto the regular season, and we now look ahead to playoffs, what has been the most important things that stood out to you when it comes to looking at the continued evolution of this Sentinel squad from start of stage 2 up until this current moment in time?
Yeah, I think the whole team has done a good job really not getting comfortable at any point, right? The scrim weeks have been really productive. If anything, I think they've actually been more productive than they really ever have. Everyone's really locked in. They're bringing their best. No one's going, "Oh, this game should be easy because we won the last two," or whatever. At any point along the way, like we all want to win champs, and we all believe we have what it takes to win champs. That's the goal, winning champs. That's what we want to go to Paris to do. Not get top 8, not get top 4, but to get that win. And I think everything this year, the good and the bad, the tough moments and the easy moments, have all been a build up to that. And the whole team, like, really no one needs to explain it to them. They're all such competitors. They understand that continuously putting the work in and playing well every single match along the way is how you get to champs and have the confidence and the experience and really like learn how to win and just take it all the way. And if we take our foot off the gas or we get comfortable, um, that's not the right way to, you know, that's a sign that we're not thinking about the game that matters at the end of the year, which is a champs grand final. So yeah.
You guys were able to secure your ticket to champions relatively early on in the season, more specifically, I believe, after the Cloud9 matchup, which was, I believe, a few weeks ago. And, that put you guys in a position where, like logistically and also on paper, you guys can kind of take it easy and just not really reveal too much from, that point up until, whatever it is you guys end up in the standings for stage 2. You look at that and you look at, the result. Did that thought I'd assume that thought never crossed your mind, and so in a way, did that make you want to work even harder to just keep the guys in tip top shape?
Yeah, I'm never much of a believer in hiding stuff, in kind of going dormant and preserving energy. I think we should continuously put in our all because I've seen in my time coaching how much you grow and improve and learn from trying your very best and pushing yourself as a team. And if we're not going to do that, we're not going to get tested. We're not going to learn, and then we're not going to come out stronger. And we're trying to get as strong as we can before we hop on that flight to Paris. And yeah, that's basically how I feel about it. And never need to work too hard to remind the team of that. They just kind of know that for themselves, which I've been really impressed with.
I had a quick conversation with John a few weeks ago, and he mentioned, or I asked him about the comparison between this current core of the Sentinels team and the one from last year, in which you guys had Saucy Intense, and um, he mentioned about how that last year's squad had very high highs and very low lows, whereas for this current squad, he feels that it's much more consistent, much more stable, and just being able to remain in their relatively good form throughout the entire year, whereas their peaks and all that stuff. My question to you, Kaplan, is: do you agree in that sense? Do you feel like this team is much more consistent in relation to last year's team? And I can also, and I would like to ask you also: do you feel like this current core, with the experience that you guys have been able to accrue this year, is in better shape at the end of the season compared to last year's team?
I think that if you're just to look at specific matches or specific stakes matches or internationals, I mean, I think we had incredible consistency last year. And a lot of that is thanks to the experience and just the personality makeup of the squad and having such seasoned players in Tyson and Gustavo. I don't think that I can sit here and say we've proven we're more consistent as a team internationally, but I think in terms, I think our form and growth is more of a consistent kind of increase and incline throughout the year. Like we're working through our issues, and it's I hope it's noticeable to people. It's certainly noticeable to me. And I think our map pool and anything else, our roles, our agent pool, our team play, like it's incremental growth because because of the specific strengths of this team. I'm going to sit here and say I think that we've also shown that same consistent growth when you look at internationals, when you look at Bangkok and then Toronto. I'd like to think that the same will be true for Paris, that will show that we've consistently grown in terms of our ability to perform in high stakes games against teams we haven't played against before, with really big crowds in the biggest moments of the year. I think we'll have that, but I can't say for sure yet. It's up to us to prove it.
No, for sure, most definitely. We got some time before the start of Champions, so definitely have plenty of opportunities to adapt and improve. On the subject of champions, since you brought it up, since that point, or by now, we've now seen more teams qualify for this event. I believe the field for Pacific is almost wrapped up, only needing one spot, and we got Fnatic qualifying as well. I don't think China has any concrete teams or teams that have secured their spot 100%. How do you look at the crop of teams that are either already at champions or are in the cusp of reaching champions? Which team has caught your attention?
I'm excited to play all of them. It's just so fun to play teams that are from different regions. They have a different play style. They have specific comps and ways they think about the game, and it's always kind of a puzzle to try to. It's just really fun to see teams strategically face off in that way. It's one of my favorite parts about the job. If I had to pick a team out, I'd like to play RRQ. I think they look really cool. Like, I just like their strategy. I like what they're doing. I thought they looked comfortable in the Teo meta, and like they figured that out pretty quickly, pretty well. And I think right now, I think a lot of what they're doing is pretty sweet strategically. They're experimenting, I think, with Waylay probably more than any tier 1 team, at least any tier 1 team that's like in position to be at champs. So yeah, that's one team I think is fun to keep an eye out on, and I'd love to play against.
Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, they played the Waylay today in their most recent matchup against DRX. How do I know that? Because I was covering the match at 5 a.m. We don't need to talk about how tough it was for me, but yeah, like on the now going into playoffs, but more so now into your region or this region in VCT Americas. First seed, you already got the bye for the second round of the upper bracket, and so as it stands right now. We're waiting on the matchup between, I believe, Leviathan and also the third place team of your respective group. You got any preferences as to who you want to face as your first opponent, or does it not really matter?
No, to be honest, I'm comfortable playing any of them. It'd be fun to play a team from the other group just because we haven't gotten to play any of those teams in the last couple months, right? So I'd enjoy playing a team we haven't gotten to play against yet, just to get through another kind of test in that way.
Gotta give you the obligatory follow-up. What is that one team that you want to face from the other group?
I think it'd be fun to play Lev. Yeah, they look like they're really kind of coming into their own with they had sort of a messy start to their season with their roster build and stuff, and it looks like that just from the outside, the team they have right now is meshing well and having fun together, and Sato's going crazy in these games lately, and yeah, I think it'd just be a fun one to play.
Most definitely, and hopefully we will be able to see that matchup come sooner or later. We'll see what happens, but either way, gotta give my thanks to you, Kaplan, for another interview. Congrats on the victory, congrats on 5-0, and congrats on continuing the momentum into playoffs. And so, best of luck goes to the team, but most importantly for yourself in that first match of playoffs.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.